Donald Trump reiterated during his cabinet meeting last week that yes, he wants to destroy the United States Department of Education and just return all of those functions over to the state. States, I guess. So 50 different departments of education instead of, one Department of Education. Now we're going to have 50. That doesn't actually sound like smaller government. That sounds like 50 times the government we have now. But it's what Trump wants in order to shrink the government. So it's what's going to happen. Even during her confirmation hearing, Donald Trump's education secretary, Linda McMahon, from the wrestling empire, admitted that, we want to be able to put forth legislation to basically destroy the very department you're putting me in charge of. So it's going to happen. And it could be decades before we correct the damage from this. But for the record, that's not just coming from me, right? That's not just my opinion. It's not just my views as the, spouse of an educator. It's actually coming from the states. States across the country, red states and blue states, are now sounding the alarm bells. And I hate to use that phrase because I feel like I'm using it every day. But then again, there's a lot of alarm bells to sound these days. But anyway, states across the country are warning, we can't handle this. We don't have the resources. We don't have the staffing. We don't have the money. But also, we don't know what the hell you're doing or when you're going to do it. So we have no way to plan ahead. We can't just start hiring people. We can't just construct a new building if this is something that's not going to take place for another 10 years. If it's something that's going to take place next month, well, guess what? Even if we started now, we're still screwed. That is the message coming from states across the country, according to a new report from NBC News. And again, it's red states and blue states, all of them saying, we can't handle what you're asking us to do. There are too many resources involved. We would have to hire hundreds of new people. They would have to handle everything. Basically, you're making us micromanage something that you guys already had a really good handle on. That's what's crazy about this. I know Republicans love to attack the Department of Education, but why? None of their arguments have ever made any sense. They haven't been able to offer up any kind of cogent argument to defend their stance of destroying it. We want to give it back to the states. What does that mean? Explain what that means, because the states are already actually in charge of their own education systems. The Department of Education is not out there saying, all right, on Tuesday, you got to teach them all this. That ain't happening. What's happening is that the U.S. Department of Education says, okay, listen, you got these schools in this area, low-income schools. We're going to give you this amount of funding so that you can keep the school running. Because you're not getting enough local tax money, your state is not pulling in enough taxes to give you the supplemental stuff you need, we'll take care of that. Student loans, we'll handle student loans. We'll handle the Civil Rights Division for education to make sure everyone has equal access. That is what the U.S. Department of Education does. And these states are telling us we're not in the position to be able to do that. Even if the federal government just sends us at the state level the money instead, it's still not going to be enough because we're still not going to get the same amount that we were for these Title I schools. We're not going to get enough to be able to do the grants, the Pell Grants and things like that for low-income students who want to go to college but can't afford it and didn't get scholarships. Even if you gave us the money, you're not going to give us as much as you used to, and not to mention, maybe our state decides to use it on something else. Maybe they pass a bill allowing them to reappropriate it. There's no one to look over their shoulders to tell them they can't do it, so education takes a serious dive. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because this isn't the only thing that Donald Trump wants to, quote, return to the states. He also wants to get rid of FEMA and make states responsible, with probably no additional funding, for their own natural disasters. And if you think the states can't even handle their own education systems, if you think those states are going to be able to handle their own natural disasters, you are lying to yourselves. They can't handle any of this. That's why, I mean, the federal government exists. It is a vital necessity for the United States, but Republicans, especially Trump and Elon Musk, can't seem to wrap their tiny little brains around that. The states can't handle these things, and they're telling us they can't handle these things. But Trump is pushing forward with it anyway, because by God, nobody's going to tell him his ideas are stupid and get away with it. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.